Hello guys, welcome to a brand new video today. Very exciting, we're starting a brand new series, as you can see, Vicious Rabbit F1 podcast. So this is going to be like a podcast that will happen after every single race, hopefully. So then I can just talk to you guys about what's happened and most of the things that stood out to me and stuff. And sometimes we'll have guests that will join me in the podcast and stuff. So yeah, let's go on to the first part. The results: Charles Leclerc P1, Max Verstappen P2, and Lewis Hamilton getting another podium in P3. The rest of the pack, we have George Russell P4, P5 Esteban Ocon, P6 Mick Schumacher, P7 Lando Norris, P8 Kevin Magnussen, P9 Daniel Ricciardo, P10 Fernando Alonso, and that's all the point scorers for the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen got an extra point because he got fastest lap of the race. Fernando Alonso is the last person to get a point in the race. Anyway, with the rest of the pack, we have P11 Valtteri Bottas, P12 Alex Albon, P13 we have Lance Stroll, P14 Joe Guanyu, P15 Pierre Gasly, P16 Yuki Tsunoda, and in last place is Sebastian Vettel, P17. We had 3 DNFs: Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, engine problem. Nicholas Latifi had damage, and Sergio Perez also had damage from a lap 1 collision with George Russell. Now, let's talk about, speaking of Red Bull, let's talk about them. Red Bull were looking good at the start of the race. Sergio got up a place when the race started, and then coming down into turn number 4, sorry. 4? I'm pretty sure. Whichever corner it was, he got tagged by George Russell and went spinning into the gravel trap, which caused damage to his Red Bull. Can't really see it on the photo, but there is damage that eventually comes on around lap 16, and he has to DNF on lap 24 because of the damage. He dropped down to last place. It wasn't that much damage, but he mainly DNF'd because Red Bull thought, we can't come back, because he had already been lapped 2 places. He had already been lapped twice on the first 2 laps, I don't know. But yeah, so he DNF'd, which wasn't good for the constructors, as Ferrari are now catching up. And if I'm correct, yep, Sergio Perez has dropped back down to 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, due to that DNF. Now it's the other Red Bull, Max Verstappen. He came 2nd in the race. He was looking comfortable at the start, but then he started to struggle with tyres and ended up doing, if I'm correct, a 3-stop, because we got an extra stop with the virtual safety car for who was it? Carlos Sainz. They pitted the Red Bull. Yeah, he just struggled on tyres a lot, I'm guessing. It's my best guess. Yeah, so P2 for Verstappen, still maintains the championship by a comfortable amount. Yeah, so he also got that extra point. So he got 26 or 25 points. So yeah, he's still ahead in the drivers. Now, moving on. Haas. They had an incredible weekend. That is for sure. Haas, so Kevin Magnussen finishing P8 in the race ahead of their team rivals McLaren, as you can see on the picture. And Mick finishing P6, so he earns a couple more points for his championship season. So he scored points last race, his first points, and now he scored even more, beating his teammate Kevin Magnussen by 2 positions. The driver splitting them, if I'm correct, was Lando Norris, which was very good for Lando to split the 2 Haas's. Daniel Ricciardo came behind Kevin Magnussen, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So they had a really good weekend, but Haas revealed a couple of 12 hours ago or so that Kevin was struggling with the car, so he couldn't. Yeah, he was just struggling, so that's why he dropped back down to 8th. He would have finished ahead of Lando Norris. Excuse me, but yeah, he didn't. Mick had an incredible day, an incredible weekend in the Haas, which was very good for him and his team, so that he could gain a few more points in the Constructors and his Drivers' Championship. I'm not sure what position he's up to, but I'm guessing he's gone up at least 1 place as a result. So that's it for Haas. Now moving on to Alfa Romeo. They had a pretty dramatic weekend last weekend at Silverstone with Zhou Guanyu. Luckily he was fine. I don't know what position did he come. He came P14, which was good for him. And moving on to Valtteri Bottas, started at the pit lane after quite a few issues of the engine in qualifying, so he had to take a amount of engine penalties that resulted in him in starting in the pit lane. And after starting in the pit lane, he finished P11, which Bottas says is very proud of, especially since it's first season at a new team, Alfa Romeo. Past 2 seasons, if I'm correct, yep. Yeah. Past 2 seasons haven't been doing well. Been coming no points and stuff. But Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, people say, is the best Alfa Romeo pairing that they've ever had in a long time. Since the 1970s or 60s. So everyone's really proud of Valtteri and Zhou Guanyu at Alfa Romeo after that finish, which actually helped them unfortunately didn't get them any points, but they got a lot of data from the car and the engine and how it works and stuff. So yeah, that's very good for Alfa Romeo. Zhou Guanyu finishing P14, not the race that he was expecting, apparently, according to him, but at least he still got a decent result in the car that he has. He got a few penalties for track limits, which we'll talk about later. Valtteri Bottas got 2 warnings, I'm pretty sure, but apart from that, he was okay with penalties. Alright, so moving on to Ferrari. Decent result until lap 56. As you can see on the screen, Ferrari DNFing after Carlos Sainz's engine blew up and bursted into flames. he had to stay in the car for a bit because the marshals weren't there with the things that stopped the car from rolling, because he stopped on the part of the track that goes uphill, and around Austria there's a lot of uphill things that can make the cars go downwards when they are being shut off and switch into neutral, because they don't have like a parking brake or anything. They have to they have to keep it in position so then it doesn't roll away or anything. So yeah, Ferrari were disappointed about that. They learned that after looks at and stuff, they noticed there was a hydraulic issue or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But yeah, so Carlos Sainz, as you saw, he was devastated because he was getting real close to Max Verstappen. They looked to Ferrari looking for a good 1-2 in the race. Unfortunately, that was disturbed and stopped by an engine blow up from Carlos Sainz. But Ferrari still got to get the win with Charles Leclerc in P1. Yeah, Max Verstappen was looking good for a first place, but he was struggling on the tyres a lot, so he couldn't really do anything about that, which was annoying for Max. He said that it was just hard around here, especially with the new cars and stuff, new tyre compounds, or using not new tyre compounds, but the harder, softer and just bigger and a bit thinner. So yeah, it was just struggling on the tyres a lot. It would have been a race win for Max Verstappen, but Charles Leclerc getting the win in Austria. Carlos Sainz was devastated as well because, as you probably know, he got the win. He got his first ever win, Carlos Sainz, in Silverstone, after that red flag from Joe Guan Yu flipping upside down, going in between the iron fencing that protects the fans, and he went in between the fencing and the tyre barrier. And I'll tell you what, I'll just go back to Alfa Romeo. That barrier that protected the fans is hella strong. As you saw, he flips over and he goes I'm pretty sure they said over 100 or 150 kilometers per hour into that barrier. It's amazing how protective it was against the Alfa Romeo, because it was a first lap incident, so it would have been a pretty hefty crash, because his head was stuck, it was lodged in between the tyre barrier, so he couldn't really move. So yeah, he was really lucky to get out of that unscathed that much. Just talk about another thing before we move on to track limits. Do we have it? No, we'll just go back to results. Esteban Ocon in P5. An amazing result from the Frenchman going into Austrian Grand Prix and coming out of it, knowing that he's in P5 and knowing that his home race is coming up after this. I'm guessing he was just really happy to see, that he had a really decent result. P5, especially in an Alpine. His teammate Fernando Alonso in P10. 5 places the difference, but still they both got points. Esteban Ocon got decent points. Alonso got the last point place, which was lucky for him because apparently Bottas was very close to him on the final stages of the race. Now, on to the last thing we're going to be talking about on this podcast. Track limits. The FIA decided that they're going to be stricter around here since it's a very fast circuit and there's a lot of places that drivers normally go off of as we sort of saw last year. I don't know if there's a picture of last year or not, but anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just the track limits. They were very strict on track limits coming to Austria. I've never seen track limits because I was watching it live from Australia. So I stayed up. The track limits, they're very strict around Austria. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like turn last final corner and turn 3. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, turn 3 or turn 4. Like so yeah, it's turn 3 and turn 4. Yeah, so that was very strict, that's all. Yeah, I've got a few people around the track. Yeah, people got angry, like Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris didn't seem that happy about it. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the F1 podcast, round 11 in Austria. I will be doing this on a weekly or almost weekly basis after every single race, so you guys can know what's happened and everything else. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. More videos will be coming out soon, possibly when I get into my new house, because I am moving. That's why I haven't been posting, because I'm packing and stuff. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.